and sold. Uh, eBay is the topic today. Well, oh, by the way, welcome to the Empire Builders podcast. I'm Dave Young. That's Steve Semple in your other ear. Is that how this works? Are we
I
in each in one ear? I don't think that's
I'm
how this
not
works.
sure. I don't pay enough attention to things
But
like
as the count
that.
as the countdown timer went down, Steven told me we're going to talk about eBay, and I went immediately to the sound of the auctioneers of my youth back in my hometown,
Oh
where
god.
there's cattle sales and estate sales, and on any Saturday morning, walking around in a small town, off in the distance, you hear somebody with one of those cheap portable PA systems. Yeah, give me five, give me five, give me five, give me five, five, five.
Do you
Aren't you glad that eBay doesn't have sound effects?
know maybe it should, might make it more
Right?
entertaining.
There's some AI auctioneer going 24/7 for
Oh my
2
god,
weeks.
Dave, the fact you've now said it, you know what meme is gonna happen. Oh no, you put it out there. So when you come across this as a
Like,
meme,
there's a little
as you
mute
come
thing on the
across this
screen, right, where if you turn it on, there's some AI, we've got $12.50. 12 since Tuesday, we have $12.50.
so
Anyone?
when this
Anyone?
meme is driving us nuts on social
Mhm.
media, you can blame Dave Young.
I don't see it happening, but so oh, yeah, back we're gonna talk about eBay.
But talking about auctions for a second, here's what I always find fascinating is somebody will have something and they'll go, okay, do I have an opening bid of $500? Nothing. Okay. Do I have an opening bid of, $200? Nothing. Do I have an opening bid of $100? Somebody bids for 100. And then the damn thing ends up selling for 750. And I'm
Yeah,
like, wait a minute, it sold for 750 and
yeah,
no one was willing to open at 500. What the heck? I don't
I
get
know.
it.
There's a man, I'm not a big auction person. It stresses me to be in a bidding war. I don't
Right.
know why, even on eBay.
Right.
But there's a psychology of auctions that, the certain
Clearly.
people like, I think I don't know for sure. I'm not a psychologist, Stephen, but I play one on a podcast, and, I think there's a compulsion that's similar to gambling, and I think it's just there's a dopamine hit involved when you're active in an auction.
There
Right,
probably
and
is.
I think there's a bit of a compulsion to it maybe, because it
Maybe.
it also is as long as you have the money to do it, it's probably a little safer than gambling because, if you lose, you don't lose anything.
Right,
If you
right,
win, hopefully you've won and purchased something that's worth more than you paid, right? That's
right,
the upside. So there's the downside is that you didn't get the thing that you wanted, but you
right.
didn't lose any money.
Cool. Well, let's talk about eBay.
Let's do. Wasn't Musk involved in it and Thiel and those guys, or
No,
what
they
am I thinking wrong? I
you're
get
thinking
all
wrong.
I
Yeah,
get all
no,
my, American oligarchs confused.
they were over in the PayPal, world.
Okay.
But, the thing that's interesting about eBay is it's still a really important player in online retail. We can kind of forget about it because the growth has been stalled a little bit in the last bunch of
Uh-huh.
years, but they still do like $10 billion,
That's amazing.
in
I
sales, which
remember back when probably the first 5 or 6 years of eBay, you could use eBay, like, if you had something you wanted to sell,
yeah,
right, at a garage not a garage sale, but just list somewhere to sell,
yep,
you could actually scour eBay and see what it was probably gonna get you. What would be a
yeah,
good way to price it, right? That was
yeah,
always
because
the
you
way to see what are these going for?
right, because you could see what things were
Mhm.
bidding at. And so they are a really important part of the history of online retailing. And they're founded by Pierre Omidyar, who was born in France to Iranian parents and immigrated to the United States as a kid. And the company was founded in March of '96. And he had worked at a startup that he had got bought out from. He did pretty well, and he set up a consulting business called Echo Bay Technology Group. So that was the first thing he had
Echo
going
Bay,
on.
okay.
Echo Bay Technology Group. And one day a friend noticed that he had bought these bunch of drawings and he was like, "Oh, tell me about these drawings." And he was like, "Well, I saw them, listed in the newspaper, and I gave the guy a call, and we backed and forth a few times, and I got a really good price on it." And this was the seed of an idea. He was like, "You know what? There's lots of stuff listed in newspapers and classified ads." And if we remember, back in the day, going, way back in the mid
Sure.
90s, the most profitable part of many, many newspapers
Was the
was the
classified, yeah.
classified ads. Like, I remember being a portfolio manager and looking at one company called Torstar. So it was a big newspaper group here in Canada. And like, yeah, literally 25% of their revenue was classified ads.
Mhm. Mhm.
Massive part, massive, massive part of the business. But if you think about a classified ad, you've got to call up the newspaper, you've gotta create the ad, you've gotta send the ad over, and then somebody's gotta phone you, and then you've got a back and forth on price. There's lots of friction there.
Well, and
There's
you have to go
lots of
pay the
touch
newspaper,
points.
like,
Y
even
and you got
before you
oh,
could pay
right, you
them
had to go
online, right? You
yeah,
gotta go
you had to
pay
go
for
in
that ad. So, I think most of those were probably walking in, unless the
yeah.
newspapers could take a payment over the phone, but
So he looked at it and he went, not only is there all these touch points to creating the ad and paying for the ad, there's all these touch points in terms of the selling process. And he looked at it and he went, I think there's a way for technology to eliminate all of that. And it's clearly a big business because people spend lots of money on
sure.
classified ads. So this was the seed. This was the seed of the idea. How do I make this easier, frictionless, and all this other stuff for customers? So he decided, well, I've got this consulting webpage. I'll just do a page on my consulting site on EchoPay, on EchoPay Consulting Services. I'm just going to put a page in there and I'm going to play around with it. Because what he wanted to do was eliminate the need to contact the newspaper, um, make it easy to write the ad, and then basically, make it easier to make the sale. And he really felt the internet could do this. So,
Sure.
and he also wanted to facilitate the price negotiation because he felt like people don't really want to do that back and forth, that whole back and forth.
Yeah.
And the model he looked at was auctions. He went, wow, what if I could do an online auction site?
Mhm.
Because now the buyer and seller don't have to have this conversation. And it's just
Yeah.
the marketplace will just set the price.
And you know that they're gonna be paying attention as the time wears down.
Yeah, all sorts of things with that. So he launches it with a really simple design. There's no pictures or anything like that, which we look at that today. But then I thought about it. I went, well, wait a minute. That's not really a disadvantage because there was no pictures in the newspaper one either.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. So the whole idea of requiring a picture, we were used to doing this stuff without pictures through the newspaper
Yeah.
classifieds. Yeah. So he sets up the site and he calls it Auction Web and he launches it on September 3rd, 1995.
Okay. Auction web.
Or sorry, I said the wrong date. I said the wrong date earlier. The date was kind of when it really started making sales, but Auction Web launches September 3rd, 1995, not March 96. He decides to do a test, and this test has been written up a whole pile of times. He's looking around. He's got this broken laser pointer, and on the
Broken
ad,
laser pointer.
it's broken. And
Okay.
on the ad, he even says, "This is broken." And he puts it up, and it sells after a few weeks for $14.83.
Sweet.
And
Better than throwing it away.
he even calls the bidder because he's like, "I don't I gotta make sure this guy knows it's broken. I don't wanna send this to him and have him ticked off." And he goes, "Yeah, I know it's broken, but I know how to fix these things, and it's cheaper to fix it." Right? So he's like, "Alright, I'll send you my broken I'll send you my broken laser pointer." So he starts advertising. He starts going to all these chat rooms because remember, this is back in the mid 90s and there was these chat rooms all over the place. So he would be going to these chat rooms and he was promoting Auction Web on chat rooms. Now, the other thing he changed was newspapers would charge a fee the list.
Mhm.
So the other friction point with people was it's still going to cost me $5 whether this sells or not.
Yeah.
So he said, there's going to be no fee to the list. What you're going to do is you're going to pay me a commission when it sells. So he removed the fee, replaced it with a commission. Now, here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. The commission was collected on the honor system. People mailed in the payments.
Really?
Yes.
Stay tuned. We're going to wrap up this story and tell you how to apply this lesson to your business right after this.
Hey,
What?
shh, Stephen created something new.
That's not surprising. Why are you being so quiet?
Well, not very many people know.
Really?
Yes, it's new and it's amazing.
Like tail wagging amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me.
Using StoriesToSell.com.
Okay.
It's a new free 90-minute session.
Why?
Because people have a hard time figuring out how to tell their business story.
Yeah, and
This leverages Steven's TEDx talk on the 4 ingredients for telling a compelling story.
it's a great talk for sure, but how can...
Don't worry, you'll get help figuring out your story quickly, and you'll have one you can use right away. You'll even learn where to use it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you can sign up at usingstoriestosell.com.
Wait, isn't our tea time coming up?
Oh, yeah, let's go.
You're away, Dave.
Let's pick up our story where we left off, and trust me, you haven't missed a thing.
Here's the crazy thing. The commission was collected on the honor system. People mailed in the payments.
Really?
Yes.
He was, I guess, then not coordinating the payment either.
Not at that point.
So if you sell something to me on eBay, I just get back with you and pay you, and then you ship it to me.
Yeah.
But you found your buyer. You were using the auction site.
You were
to
using
find
the
your
auction
buyer.
to find the buyer. The buyer paid you directly. You shipped it directly to the buyer, and then you would send me a payment for the commission because you go, I owe auction web $4, and it worked. Like they found most people paid.
Mm-hmm.
Most people paid. Now I think what they also
I would
figured
guess
out.
that the ones that didn't, maybe the sale falls through or something.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing they figured out is for a lot of people, especially sellers, they probably weren't one-time sellers. So they also wanted to continue to potentially. Anyway, I just
Yeah.
found it kind of hurt my brain a little bit when it was like, really, that's how it ran,
Yeah. Wow.
and it worked, and it's nice to feel like, things like this can happen. So in March 1996, they hit $1,000 in revenue for the month. By May, it's 5,000. By October, they're doing 1,000 auctions a day. Like this thing, when it took
Took off like wildfire.
just took off like freaking wildfire. And Pierre realizes, man, I got a real business here, and I really didn't want to run a business. I'm a tech guy. So he hires Jeffrey Skoll to be the president. Like he just goes out almost right away and hires it because he's like, this thing is going to the moon. Now, think about this. This site is hard to find. It's still a page on Echo Bay Technology Group's website.
Oh man. And it's called Auction Web or something,
And
right?
it's called Auction Web. So the first thing they realize is we got to change that. And they go to get echobay.com, and echobay.com is taken by a Canadian mining company.
Oh, okay.
So they shorten it to eBay,
eBay,
which I actually
which
think
is
is in a lot of
better
ways.
anyway.
It is better. It
Yeah,
is
it's
better.
4 letters.
Yeah.
Try to buy yourself a 4-letter domain name these days.
So in September of 97, it changes from the wonderful name of Auction Web to eBay.
It gets its own domain. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets its own domain. Now, at this time, it's mostly tech nerds looking for parts. That's kind of really
Sure.
what got it going. If you think about it, that also makes sense because he's going to those early chat sites on the web.
Those are the people that were online early.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It was, and especially where you're promoting it, going to these chat groups. That would be mainly nerds in there. So, but what they figure out is they do want to make this a little bit more of a mass appeal. So they wanted to find things that were products that people already want, but were hard to get their hands on. And what they figured out was they wanted to do Beanie Babies.
Oh, there you go.
Because what they discovered is there was a community of Beanie Babies, like collectors of Beanie
Yeah.
Babies. And so they reached out to them. And because let's face it, they were limited number, they were not sold everywhere, and collectors loved them. So they actually created an auction category for this toy alone. They created a category for Beanie Babies. And very quickly they sold like $500,000 worth of Beanie Babies, like
Man,
almost right out the
I'm
gate.
but you know where my brain's going with this.
No, I
I'm
don't.
guessing that
Dave, I
this
never know where your brain is going.
well, hang on. I rarely do, but I know a little bit of the story of Beanie Babies. I think I watched the weird documentary or movie about it, but I'll bet you this contributed to the demise of the Beanie Baby craze because now you could actually see the value of your Beanie Baby,
Maybe.
right?
Maybe.
You put your Beanie Baby on and
Maybe.
oh God, it didn't sell for as much as I thought it was worth. And it turns out that you also just found you found a million other people that have one. And you're like,
Right.
maybe this isn't as valuable as I thought it was.
Maybe. That's an
Whereas if you're only going
interesting.
to little craft fairs and get-togethers, whole different deal. I don't know,
Maybe.
but
Don't know.
that's worth studying. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. That's interesting thought. So they created this category for Beanie Babies and it explodes. So within 4 months, the whole collectibles part of the site is
Oh,
just
sure.
blowing up. By mid-1998, they have 750,000 users, which is a huge number. Like, they're rivaling AOL's numbers in that day. They're doing 400,000 auctions. Now, here's the other thing that they discovered, the other innovation that they did that they were the creators of. They were the first to do this.
Mhm.
They would get people calling in complaining. And so what they decided to do was create a feedback form that is public. Now, what made this one different, it was ranking the seller and ranking the buyer,
Right, right.
which no one had done before.
Yeah. Like, you go into it and you're a shitty buyer, so the seller says, "Yeah.
Yeah, be careful if you're selling to this guy or
Uh-huh. Yeah,
don't buy
yeah.
from this person. And it was less about ranking the product because everything before was about the product, but this was about ranking of the buyer and the seller in a public format. And look, that's one of the cornerstones of our whole review system today. And much of it is person to person, right?
Mhm.
Much of it is person
Yeah,
to
yeah.
person. And these guys innovated that and were the first to do that. So they're really growing. They end up hiring Meg Whitman as CEO, and she really brought strategy to the business, which turned it into profitable business. And by fall of 1998, so you think about it, they're just at it for a couple years. They end up going public at a $2 billion valuation.
Hmm. Amazing.
The growth on them was really spectacular. And here's the thing that I loved about this story is he bought something through the traditional manner, saw it in a newspaper, bought it, and then looked at it and went, the web is ideal for just making this. I know we use the word friction, but I just prefer making this whole thing easier. I can make it easier to post. I can make it easier to sell because there's less back and forth. I can just make this
Mhm.
whole process easier. And I already
Sure.
know lots of people are doing it. It's super profitable for newspapers. So clearly lots of people are doing it.
Mhm.
I love that thought process. And I also love the fact that he ran an experiment, right? Like, let's just do something and test this out. The other thing I really liked was once it got going and it's in that niche, they immediately went, what's something I can do to expand across it? And what they recognized was where this fit was with something that lots of people are doing, but is hard to connect people together.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So what they actually recognized was we are actually a facilitator. And
Absolutely.
what is something that we can facilitate? Collectibles. Where are we going to
Mhm.
start? We'll start with Beanie Babies. What the heck? That's where we'll start. I thought that that was a really great starting point because their whole thing was how do we make things easier? And I find not enough businesses think about the whole how do I make things easier for my consumer? How do I
Mhm.
bundle things so it's a fixed price? How do I do this? How do I do? And anytime a business makes things easier for the consumer, it wins. And look, eBay went from nothing to a few years being a couple $1 billion business.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
It's
and they're
good,
still doing, as I
and
said, 10 billion in revenue today.
and I rarely go there.
Yeah, I don't use them
Um,
either.
we sold some things on eBay years ago,
Yeah,
right? Because, "Oh, we have this stuff, and we know that there's people out there that want it." I'm thinking of, like, homeschool books that, our kids are now outgrown, so,
yeah,
that was a good place to list things like that
yeah.
because you may not know somebody in town that's got a kid that the right age for it, but
Well, and today there's more competition. You've got,
Mhm.
Facebook Marketplace and Amazon's got, I
Absolutely.
think Amazon has an auction site as well. There are other options, but clearly there's still things eBay's doing really correctly for them to
Yeah.
still, as I said, to be, a
Yeah, do
a
you
$10
know,
billion
is
business.
how much of what they do now is true auction versus just true commerce?
You know what? I did not research the breakdown. I didn't research a breakdown of
Because
that.
once they, when they put the buy it now button on,
Yeah.
like you could list something and then you let people bid on it, but you could also just say, if it goes below this, I'm not selling it. So
Right.
put a buy it now button up there, and if it doesn't sell, maybe relist it down the road. But
Again, and I think it's a more around this collectible space. I know there's certain
yeah,
spaces that they are still pretty big in, and one of
it's
them,
the
oddly
place.
enough, is auto parts. Like, if
Okay.
you're looking for like, let's say you've got a '65 Corvette and you're looking for an old Corvette part, seemingly a pretty popular place to go is eBay.
Okay. What if you have a '65 Dodge Dart? Probably the same.
Probably the same.
Probably the same.
Just one is really cool.
Yeah, right? The parts are gonna be a little rusty.
And I'll let the audience decide based on their preferences which one is really cool. And
That's how the market
let the argument begin.
that's how the market works. That's how the marketplace works. Well, I'm glad to hear the story of eBay, Stephen. Thank you for
Yes.
bringing it to the Empire Builders podcast.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Uh-huh.
And your bidding at the beginning was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Really, I always, when I was young, I figured out that the way to emulate an auctioneer is just to make noise with your mouth and then rub your finger over your lips while you're doing it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Now you're an auctioneer. Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Thanks, David.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please share us, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and leave us a big, fat, juicy 5-star rating and review at Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to schedule your own 90-minute empire building session, you can do it at empirebuildingprogram.com.